Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Meet the Frum Trainers of Nurtured Heart Approach. I'm so excited to be chatting with Sarah and Esty, and if you've watched the first video, you already know all about me, but I'll just quickly introduce myself. My name is Mussi Diskin. I am a mother of 4, and I am a very passionate and alive nurtured hearter. I use Nurtured Heart for my family, first and foremost, for myself and my relationships. Everywhere I go. And I'm lucky enough to also be training other parents and educators and therapists and whoever wants to listen with public groups and private hires and one-on-one trainings and one-on-one coaching and group coaching. So check me out, mussidiskin.com, and I would love to connect. But let's hear from some other people. So Esty, tell us
Hi,
about
I'm
yourself.
Esty. Hi, I'm Esty Flam. I'm from New Jersey. I am a mother of 8 beautiful children. Some of them neurodiverse, which led me to get into NHA. I actually heard about the Nurtured Heart approach many years ago, and I thought it was all about just complimenting children and building their self-esteem. And I thought it was like more new agey. And I never did more about that because I thought, okay, yeah, it's out there. Um, and so that was my understanding of it. Fast forward a couple of years, and one of my children, very intense child, literally brought me to my knees, and I knew there has to be something more. And I was somehow led in a whole series of events, hashgacha process. I was led to Mussi, and she was my first introduction to the Nurtured Heart approach. And I will say over here, Mussi, your enthusiasm and your conviction really made me convinced, okay, this is the way. And I knew that this is the path I should be going down. And it was just a 6-week course, but I felt like it was just the tip of the iceberg, and I needed more. So I ended up going to a CTI training, which is a training in the Nurtured Heart approach. And that made me realize that it's not about my child, it's really about me. And the one that needed to change the most wasn't my child. I needed to change. And this has helped me change on so many levels that I never expected to. The Nurtured Heart approach really made me realize how much I need to work on my own self-regulation, on seeing my own inner wealth. It helped me appreciate all the blessings in my life, whether it was my intrinsic blessings or my children or my family, extended family, all the people and everything else in life. It also made me realize how important structure and boundaries are, and how it doesn't come on its own. It has to be connected to everything else. And I also realized how really the main thing is in every relationship is connection, and not just any connection. It has to be a positive connection. And I realized how most of my connections were not based on a positive kind of situation. It was a negative circumstance, but which brought the connection. And this helped me totally turn it on its head and bring me to connect in a positive way. And this transformed all my relationships, not just the one with this child, but with all my children and everyone else. And I realized how important this is for all of us to have in our life, whether you're a parent or not, whether you have a problem with your child or not. It's something that really transforms you on a deeper level. And I'm a transformational life coach. I help people in different aspects in their relationships or anything else they need help in. And I realized how much I could actually integrate these things and help them at a greater level. So it was not just the parenting that brought that benefited from this. It was like everything. And I feel like this has opened up the horizons for myself and my family, for everyone that I interact with on so many levels, because of my becoming more familiar with the Nurtured Heart approach.
Oh my gosh, I am so emotional, Esty. The level of authenticity and depth in your like heart, honest realness of this connection to nurtured heart and like what it is in your life. Like, it's so real. It's so internal. It's so like you're like, I feel the muscles of your heart churning and like doing the work. It's like, I'm so in awe. It's so beautiful. You're so
Thank you.
beautiful. You're so honest and you're so alive in your life. Like, you're so, I mean, I think that people like you, people in the world who are like really doing the work, and it's not for anyone else or about anyone else. It's just taking their own life because they're going to do it for themselves. Like, just so humble and real. I know I'm not speaking full sentences, but your energy came through the screen, so I'm trusting that my energy is going through the screen. In the bigger groups, I was silent between people sharing because I was like, we got to get through this. And then I'm like, nope, here, I need to speak up. I am going to recognize you for the greatness of, I do not have a word for this. I'm going to come to it though. Hi, humble truth. Maybe I'll come to something later, but that's what I'm going to land on right now. You're the greatness of humble truth. And what a privilege and honor and inspiration for us to be able to witness that here. So thank you so much for sharing and being here.
Thank you, Mussi. I'm breathing that in. And you are the catalyst to this. So I thank you for all this.
It is so meaningful to me. I can't even like breathe that I get to be a part of this kind of this level of beauty in the world, that I have a part in this. It's like, I can't, like, I'm so grateful. Like, I couldn't have a better life. I'm serious. Like, okay. I'm going to go to you, Sarah. Joyce just joined. Let's give her some time to get acclimated. We're sharing who we are, what we do, why we do it. Oh, wait, no, Esty, how can people reach you? I know you have your little email there, and I'll put it in the description below, but just say a little bit about how people could reach you if they want to work with you and what that would look like.
Yeah, my email address is perfect. I will also add my phone number, which you can text me or WhatsApp me. So either way. Thank you.
Esty, can I just, I just want to chime in a little bit, just because, this is introduction, I don't know you, and it's my first time being introduced to you and hearing your story of what brought you here, and listening to you just share, you said you're a transformational life coach, and hearing your story and of your own personal transformation through this process, you lead by example. I think that the best coaches are the ones that lead by example. And listening to you internalize the truth of what this approach has to offer, when you're willing to dig deep and internalize, not just like, people think nurtured heart is like, oh, like parenting for dummies. I'll just do, clearly someone's at my door. They're just going to have to wait a second, but just hold on. Whatever. But, oh, hold on 1 second. Just give me.
And we'll be back after this ad. No, I'm kidding. Joyce, do you want to jump in and share about yourself while she's getting her door? Are you able to? Oh, there you are.
I am. Hi, how are you? I'm like finishing therapy with my son. So we're like on our way back. We're in the car. So I might be able to talk a little and still look at the road.
Well, she's back. So you're off the hook.
Okay, sorry. Sorry
Okay,
about that.
good.
No, I forgot, like, what day of the week is it? I was like, I don't know, whatever. And we're making, Baruch Hashem, my son got engaged, and we're making a vart on Sunday. And I'm just like, what's happening? What? So I just want to recognize you, Esty, for leading by example. Really, you are the greatness of, I had it before. It's just like, it was such a good description of what I really heard in you was this deep understanding of what Nurtured Heart is about, and how to internalize not just like, oh, I have to fix my kid. It's, I have to understand how to relate. And, I'm going to use that as a segue because, I came into Nurtured Heart about 14 years ago. Like, I don't know, 14 years ago. My kids were little. I have 5 kids, really close in age. And I was desperate. My son, he was living in the principal's office. I had 3 principals tell me, Mrs. Herbsman, in all my years of chinuch, I've never seen a kid like this. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, what am I supposed to do with that? And then finally, one of the principals was like, you have your finger on the pulse of your child, and we will do whatever you tell me. And I'm like, great, because you know that I do have the finger on the pulse of my child, and I do know best what is going to reach him. And I got introduced to Nurtured Heart. I took a parenting class when I was just like desperate. I was like, my kid spent nursery through 1st grade, was like in the principal's office. I spent more time in school than he did, and just as soon as I took that class, I was like, yes. And when you're seeing psychiatrists and you're seeing and you're able to tell these highfalutin professionals, like, no, I got something that's better to reach my child, and it's not medication, and it's not, it's not magic tricks. It's really understanding and believing in the greatness and accessing a truth in his child that nobody else is seeing. And that nobody else is seeing. And I see the truth in this child, and I'm going to hold on to that truth until that truth manifests. And, I'll tell you now, like, I'm doing this 14 years, my kids were little and now they're adults. And I had a lot of resistance because I have 5 children, and, I've had friends who tell me like, oh, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Sarah, you're the, queen of men are from Mars. You're like the queen of Venus. Your husband's like the, king of Mars, and your kids are like all different planets. They're all so different. And like, people like friends and like shidduchim, they're like, how would you describe their chinuch? Chanoch lenar al pi darko. That's for sure. Like, each child is their own planet, and you can't make your child into a planet that he's not. You have to understand that planet, and you have to plant the seeds of that planet and let that planet grow. And Nurtured Heart, we're doing this for an Orthodox community. Nurtured Heart has transformed my understanding of Torah and avoda, of really understanding what deep, like real profound hakaras hatov is. Real understanding of building relationships with people, building, how to be mamlich somebody else, how to make somebody else feel important, and totally mind-blowing, taking away the stigma from greatness. Because everybody used to think, and I think that's gone away, but it used to be that everybody would think, oh, it's so egocentric to, it's feeding like this, oh, we can't make gaiva, and, greatness, it's all about greatness. And everybody was like, oh, that's terrible. And I'm like, no, greatness is the most humble position you can take, because owning your greatness is assuming responsibility for qualities that you have, that Hashem gifted you with, and utilizing them and tapping into them and living into. Hello, Mattie Hecht. I don't know you. But it's really a tapping into your potential and actualizing it. And it is the most humble thing you can do. And it is the greatest gift that you can do, is to give to another person the awareness of their gift. instead of having them run away and hide from it. And each person can have their own. And I'll tell you, Nurtured Heart has been, I know we have more people coming, so I'm going to, make this, I'll try to make this short, but I get very passionate about Nurtured Heart. I get very passionate, and Mussi knows, like, I'm literally like a little girl. Like, I just like, oh, like it's opening a box, like a present. Every time I learn Nurtured Heart, it's like opening a present, because it opens up an understanding of, and in such an organized, for somebody like me who is like executive functioning, it's such an organized way of understanding that you can go deeper and deeper and deeper and understand, simple, like just acknowledge somebody's, positive qualities, to understand the depth of gratitude and the power of making a miracle out of a molecule. I posted on the chat, just like Rabbi Wallerstein was absolutely magical at doing this. And I think it's not exclusive to Nurtured Heart, but I think Nurtured Heart expresses in a very organized way, very deep, profound Torah thoughts. And when you internalize Nurtured Heart in a way, and you allow it, you allow yourself to process the concepts and apply them in different ways, you can achieve a level of your own avodas Hashem takes on new levels, and the value and the meaning in your own personal life. Like, honestly, I full-time professionally work in property management, and I use Nurtured Heart. I teach parenting classes. I do private coaching. I've seen unbelievable transformation. Yes. Okay. 1 minute. I thank you. Thank you, Mussi. This is something that I internalize and utilize in every single area of my life, professionally, personally, in helping other people actualize their own transformation and things. And the opportunities are endless in affecting other people and being a catalyst for change in somebody else's life, especially in your own. So my time is up, and clearly the bells are chiming. Oh, great. But you need to hear my
tell everybody, Sarah, where you're at right now in being a support to the community, and how they can or should or shouldn't reach you, whatever.
Okay, so I can't turn off my answering machine, but beyond, I don't know if you hear my answering machine in the background. Hopefully somebody will not be leaving a message at this moment, but chances are, like, who knows. But just to reach me, I do, right now I'm like very focused on making this wedding in 2 months, but after Pesach, I'm like more free. And you absolutely can reach me. You could reach me in my email, sarah@coachsarah.net, or you could just call me, 917-843-7238. Send me a text, send me a WhatsApp, reach out, because I've seen miracles happen, and I believe people who are ready to give up have seen absolute transformation. I have seen it happen. It is absolutely possible. Never, ever, ever give up. Never, ever, ever give up on yourself or on your family. Very important message. Thanks, Mussi, for organizing this. You're fantastic.
Thank you for being here and for bringing so much joy and enthusiasm and permission to just be our own joyful selves. I don't know. Are we little kids, or are we just free adults? Who knows? Anyways, Joyce, are you ready to go? Mattie, welcome. We're just checking in with who we are, what we do, and why we do it. And we are going to do, I'm just going to decide right here, we're going to do 4 minutes per person because we're a little bit of a bigger group, and then we'll go around again 2 minutes to just kind of, add on whatever we want to add on. So Joyce, are you up, or should we go to Mattie? Are you? Yay. Okay.
I'm up. I don't have much to share. I just wanted to be here to listen to you guys. So I don't know. I got into Nurtured Heart because of Mussi, obviously. I meet with her every week. She keeps me grounded. I teach Nurtured Heart to mostly Panamanian girls in Spanish because that's my first language, so it's easier for me to communicate in that way. Yeah, I think that's about it. How should people reach out to me? So they can text me to my American number or WhatsApp me to my Panamanian number. I know it doesn't make sense, but should I post it? Here in the chat? Okay, I'll post it later then.
Do you want to talk for a minute? You have 3 minutes and 11 seconds left about how Nurtured Heart has impacted your life, or how you use it, or anything about your family or anything like that.
Yeah, so I have 3 very energetic boys. One of them is highly energetic, and it's just wonderful to see that although sometimes it's a lot to handle, I give him the space to be himself. And I know that because I'm not pushing him down, he is able to express himself, and later in life he'll use all of that intensity. And I was able to actually see an example yesterday where he like confessed that he like tried to feed the baby while I was away because the baby wasn't eating. And I said, oh, I see that you recognize that the baby didn't like that. And he just came up and said, I really didn't want to lie, mommy. That's why I told you. So that's I want to take credit for that, although I can't. But it's very satisfying to see that I am able to create an environment where you're not stepped on because you make a mistake, but rather you're celebrated because of your greatness. So even though I don't do that every day, that's my aim, and yeah, striving to do that.
Thanks for being here, Joyce. All right, Mattie, tell us who you are, what you do, and why you do it, and how we can reach you.
Okay, hi, I'm Mattie Hecht. Thank you, Mussi, for introducing me to Nurture Heart Approach. It's been an amazing journey. I think for a long time anyways, was practicing Nurture Heart Approach methods just by nature. But having the enhancement of the details of how to implement the Nurture Heart definitely took it to a higher level. Currently, I'm not coaching any clients, though I'm looking forward to starting that. But I've implemented it to such a great degree in my own home that my daughter notices when certain teachers of her are not practicing NHA, and she's like, "Ma, you have to teach this teacher how to act with Nurture Heart because she's not, and the class is a disaster because she's not practicing the Nurture Heart approach." So it just goes to show how much it works. And there was a time when my daughter was on a camp trip, and they were doing rope courses. And as they were doing the rope course, when she finished passing by one of the guys who were helping out, she goes, "I really appreciate how you help everyone get to where they have to, how you're so patient helping everyone where they have to be." And he's like, "Wow, first of all, not too many people thank me. And secondly, that was such a deep, well-known thank you. That's amazing. I'm going to try to put that into practice." So we see that it really works. It really ripples and affects everyone worldwide. I love spreading the message of NHI to whoever I can, whenever I can. It really does impact every single aspect of our existence. And what I love most is taking that pause and recognizing that we're not always perfect. And there are times when, I won't be in my perfect self, and I'll need a reset. My daughter reminds me, "Mom, maybe you should reset." So, it works. It works when you work it. And there's just so much gratitude for the knowledge of how we can do it. And I really hope that I can take what I know and share it with the world at large and find clients to keep the knowledge going, because there's so much that people need to know. And I find it especially, we deal basically with our children, but I see it so much more applicable. It can even be done at the higher level of, in the workforce, where we can just if you can get in touch with those people and teach them how to shift their energies when they're interacting with their employees, or when they're acting, to get more what they want, when they're interacting with their, supervisors or whatnot, it's just much more beneficial for the world around. And that's my message. And thanks for letting me share. Yeah.
So, as you all see, I'm having a guest here, but what I want to encourage, what we'll do is we'll go around again, and I'll time as best as I can. I share whatever you want to add to whatever you shared. But my invitation is to focus on observant Jewish Frum orthodox, whatever you want to call it, community, like maybe how the world's complemented each other or contrast each other, or like what your experience is or was, just bringing the Torah aspect to your experience of nurtured heart. And I'm gonna invite Esty to go first.
Hi. Okay, so first of all, I did want to add that I just got a phone call literally this week from one of the staff members of my son's school, this particular son that I started out the conversation about, asking me if he is on medication. And I'm like, no, why do you ask? And he was like, because he's a whole different child. He's totally calm. I'm like, yay, this is a child that literally was going to be kicked out 1,000 times. He spent most of the beginning of this year and last year in the hallways or at home. And now they're asking me if he's on medication. And it's just, I will say, it's just the feeling of safety and connection that he got from this approach. So I just wanted to add that. As far as how I find this works with being a Frum observant, Torah following person, this has made me realize more than anything how much I need to work on my middos. When I originally took the course, it was basically an outline, but I didn't get it fully. And as I delved more into it, I realized how each part of it is like a world of its own, and each one works on a different kind of characteristic or midah that you have to really refine within yourself in order to make it work. For example, the first part being, absolutely no, it's taught me to self-regulate more than anything, not to be reactive, not to get angry, not to be judgmental. It was so much that I had to work within. The next part was really seeing the good in others and having a positive eye. And, it's all about avodas amidos. And finally, boundaries. It's, the Torah, you can't follow the Torah if you don't have, derech eretz kadmon Torah. You can't internalize anything if you don't have clear structure, boundaries, yes, no, clarity. Okay. And this is really what helped me to, I see how it really comes together, dovetail seamlessly in a Torah life.
Thank you. Sarah, you're up.
So it's very, I have a lot of passion around the connection between nurtured heart and Torah. It has really been an extreme difference in my relationship with Hashem. I will say that, and I could really talk for hours on this, but in just using the structure of nurtured heart, like Esty was saying, absolutely no, we don't realize how the default setting of a Frum mind is what's wrong with society, what's wrong with, this influence, what's wrong with, this picture, what do I need to fix? How, I feel responsible to fix the problems and be this Orla Goyim or be La Orla family or martyr mom or whatever. But it's coming from such a negative viewpoint and coming from a negative eye. And we think that the transformation is, if I will just call out what's wrong, I'll be very quick. I'm just going to make this one really important point. We think that if we're going to call out what's wrong, then somehow we're part of fixing it. And Nurtured Heart has really shifted that from, if I call out what's right and I water the flowers, the weeds will wither away. And there's so much, in other coach trainings and other things that I've had, that really they're all saying the same thing. If everybody's saying the same thing, then there's an element of truth to that. And you can see it in the Torah itself. But the Torah itself uses positive language. It's so intentional about using positive language and to avoid negativity as much as possible. And if we can internalize that truth and recognize this is not a separate thing, this is just an explanation of deep Torah truths in a language that we can understand in our day-to-day life, because it's being presented by people who have no connection to Torah whatsoever. And they just have an organized way of understanding and observing a reality that every human is living in, especially in this world, with their attention and their issues and whatever. So it's just allowing the ability to reflect and to recognize that, yeah, it may seem hard at first, but usually the things that are harder at first produce better results later on. And as somebody who's been doing this for 14 years and watching my children grow, and I'm going to be ending right now, Mussi, I know you don't have to hold up the clock, I'm ending. My children, watching the transformation of the relationships between my children and their relationship with themselves has given so much hope to my children as they have their children now. And I've had second generation students, and it's just amazing to give that nachas to see that long term doesn't have to be immediate. And maybe you will get immediate results, but maybe you won't. But you're on the right path and you're planting beautiful seeds. And thank you, Mussi, for doing this. I'm gonna stop. It's hard, but I'm gonna. Oh, it's so hard to stop. I go on.
You have so much to say. Thank you for being respectful of the time, even though it's so hard. I see your amazing ability to harvest all that intensity and bring yourself to an end. Joyce.
Yeah, so for me, short and sweet, just the idea of, Mussi actually told me that, I said, Mussi, so how do you do teshuvah? Like, how do you repent from something that you did that was wrong without feeling guilt and remorse? That doesn't make sense. She says, well, there's two ways of doing teshuvah. You can either do it from love or from fear. So if it's from fear, then the remorse and the guilt are in place. And that's how far you're going to get, right? You're feeling remorse and regret. And then there's some point in your life where you say, I can't do this. This is not sustainable. I give up. But if you come from a place of love, it's like, oh, Hashem, I don't want to miss that connection with you. That connection just stopped and I don't want to be disconnected. So let me concentrate on what I can do right and not what I did wrong. And that teshuvah is there. It's just, it takes a whole different form. So for me, I think Nurture Heart gave me permission just to not be so hard on myself anymore. When I make a mistake with the kids, I go back to my old bad habits. I just, you know what, that was a moment in time. I have the next moment in time. Let me look for a connection with Hashem. Let me look for a connection with them. So I'm still exploring the Nurtured Heart and Jewishness connection, but that's the basis of it for me.
Thank you. Mattie.
Hi. So for me, I think it's like I really put it into practice in everything that I learn, everything that I teach, because I have women that I teach Hasidus to, and environments, you guys. And I find Nurture Heart so applicable and so like intertwined with everything that I teach and everything that I learn. It doesn't take much for me to find the connection to everything that I learned to point out, well, here's the powers, here's what we do, here's how we energize what's going right, instead of focusing on what's going wrong. Because here we are, we learn a little bit of, citizen, we learn how there's so many people who focus on seeing, noticing what's going wrong with someone else, and then they aggrandize that. And to just take it and twist it and say, well, yeah, there might be something, that someone has needs us to improve. But instead of focusing on what they have to improve, focus on, first of all, what I have to improve and how I can transform myself, even if they have their wrong habits. How can I work around them? How can I connect to them, even if they're making me uncomfortable? And using the 3 stands, it's very simple to just realize we're not focusing on what's wrong. We're not focusing on the negativity. We're going to create more positive energy into what's going right. And then I'm going to be very careful in how I allow myself to be affected with someone else or not. I'm going to be very careful in how I relate to the other person and let them know what I can tolerate, what I cannot tolerate. And it all comes down from the whole concept of, yes, we have to make this world a different, we have to make this place comfortable for that connection to Hashem. And that's the way to do it. Just nurture heart all around and make every single part of everything that you learn, every single Torah bit that you learn, find the nurtured heart in it and make it more applicable to yourself and to your life.
Thank you,
That's it.
Mattie. And thank you everyone for allowing me the time. I know it's so super annoying, and I feel I'm hoping that it's meaningful to our audience, because otherwise it feels very yucky. Okay, timing myself. There's so much to say. I relate to I agree with what everyone else said. And I guess one point that I love I heard it mentioned in Sarah, and I decided I'm going to jump on it. There's this idea that when in Parshas Noach, when Hashem is telling, sorry, I'm mixing. Yes, maybe I shouldn't use the exact source without looking it up. But basically, when Hashem talks about not kosher animals in the Torah, it says einena tahira. It's not tahar. It's not pure. Versus like treif, right? And so it uses a positive language. But then when it's talking about kosher and not kosher animals, the Torah does say tameh, like clear. And to me, I love that, because that's like exactly the point. When we're focusing on the relationship and the day-to-day and the storytelling of who you are and all the stand to, right? Like all the time it's all focusing on the greatness and being careful to always see that in the positive. But when it comes to clarity, and this is the piece that Nurtured Heart brought for me, Torah has very clear, like, this is the halacha. Like, this is what, here's right, here's wrong. Now, I don't judge you. If you do the wrong thing, like Joyce said, there's always teshuvah. I know you're doing your best, and I'm going to focus on the baby steps of what you did do right? Like, there's beauty in you, even at whatever you do. You can never like destroy your neshama. You can never cut yourself off completely. Like, there's always a route back to Hashem, always, no matter how far you go. But when it comes to right and wrong, we're 100% clear. This is right and this is wrong. Like, I still love you, even if you do everything wrong, but I'm not going to say it's right. I'm just going to still love you. So I have 6 seconds left, but that to me is like so nurtured hearty. It's like clarity is like halacha, like black and white, very, very clear. And everything else, it's all with the ayin tov, with the good eye. So I am done. And I went a few seconds over. Thank you for allowing me to. Sarah,
Can I just say one thing, Mussi?
yes, and then we'll close with Sarah's beautiful little thing. I'll put in the description everybody's contact information, and I hope you enjoyed. Sarah, you close.
I don't know that I'm going to be able to close, but I'm just opening up a door for everybody who's listening to this to just an invitation to be willing to look at something new that might be beneficial, and to be willing to be open to something that's very congruent with your Torah beliefs. But I just want, on one thing that you said, and this is something that I teach in my classes, when we get to like teaching the rules, no rules, don't do this, don't do this. And I'm like, you can't get a clearer example than the Aseres HaDibros. Like, don't kill, don't steal, don't commit adultery, like low, don't do it. And there's such crystal clarity. And like you were saying, Mussi, like in the halacha of this is not okay. And you can't, in today's world, everybody wants to like, fuzzy things. The Torah is as clear as it gets. This is allowed, this is not allowed. This is maybe allowed in certain circumstances, but this is not allowed now. So like, and that's okay. And the whole teshuvah process of returning, it's not, and we're going to close with this. When a relationship gets broken, it's like a knot. And this was such a great mashal that I learned. When you have a rope and it's like somebody cuts that rope and you feel like you were one rope and now you're two separate entities. But when you tie that rope back together, the two ends of that rope are now closer than they were before. So this is just an opportunity to utilize an approach that will take the separation and bring you even closer than you were before. So that's my closing.
You all
Thank you,
next
Mussi.
time.